Hello, okay, welcome back, guys. Welcome back, guys. We're gonna continue from where we left off. So, in the previous lesson, we kind of worked on creating this base skin tone. So, in this tutorial, I'm gonna start working on creating some additional tone to this. And also keeping in mind, I'm not going to go too extreme in here because it's more or less like a semi-realistic kind of character in here. It's not entirely realistic because some of the major structures of the face are not actually in there. It's gonna give you that distinct realistic look to it. So let me show you an example. So if you kind of compare this to another female face, more realistic female face in here. Yeah, this has some expression in there. Let's use a more neutral output so you can see comparing the most especially on the eye, you can see there's not so much of the realistic detailing in here on this. So it's more or less like in between stylized and then semi-realistic. So that's general idea for this character in here. So moving on. So that being said, so I'm not going to spend so much time in making the skin texture look more or less like really realistic skin texture in here. We still want to make it look a bit superficial, kind of. Still want to make the skin look a bit superficial, though there's imperfections there, but still superficial to some extent. So let's jump right into it. So I'm going to select this, and I need to change the color for this. It's a more lighter skin tone, so I can pick a more brighter skin tone around the top part of the face, somewhere around there. Okay. Maybe that's way too much. Let's pick somewhere around here instead. Like so. I'm going to add a black marks in there. And I'm going to go over to my brushes in here. So brushes, clear this. So I want to use smart, or rather, death brush instead. So I need to use the death brush. Let's use the death brush one. Death brush one is always a good one to use in here. So I'm going to take down the flow, take down the stroke opacity, and I'll hit C on the keyboard to go into my base color. Then I'll start painting this across. Let's take down the visibility and the flow. Clear this out again. Or maybe not. Let's put this back. Okay, the flow should be down though. Okay, this should be fine. This should be fine. So I just need to kind of brighten up some part of the face. But let's use this as our guide instead. So we know which area of the face we need to brighten up. So you can see a good portion or region around here, giving us a clear idea which part we should kind of brighten out. Nose, around here, around this part also. So all this part like so should be fine. Okay, hit M on the keyboard. Let's see what we have in here. Yeah, you're obviously too bright, but that's fine. I'm going to change this a bit. Let me even come in here and more or less change the colors. Let's duplicate this as a backup. Let's pick the color from this instead. Yes, this is a better one. It's actually a better color to use. Not a better color to use. Kind of blends a bit more properly with the entire skin instead of the other one. So moving on, so we can see some part on the lower. Let's see on the keyboard. Increase the brush size a bit more. You can see the part on the lower part of the chest needs to be brightened up with this same tone. So let's add that also in there. Scale this out. Let's take down the stroke opacity for this. For this part here, needs to be a bit lighter. Lighten this part out. Do the same also around here, all the way to the neck, around here also. Okay, I'll reduce the brush size. Let's do some breakups also in here. Some slight breakup around this part. Okay, let's hit M on the keyboard. Let's see what we have. Awesome. So this is working just fine. Just that we need to kind of come in a bit close. So I need a few more around. We need a few more breakup around this nose. Saving up. Let's give this a moment. Okay. So I would like to brighten this part up also a bit more lightly. Okay, let's even reduce the opacity a bit more and lighten this under part some more, just a little bit more. Okay, same also around here. Okay, around here also, just to get some more evened out tone around there also. So I'm doing this without symmetry turned on, so just to more unique get some more unique feeling around there a bit more. So let me increase this opacity now and paints across. Okay, it's M on the keyboard. Let's see what we have. Okay, now it feels more like patches around this, so we need to work a little bit more in there, or rather we need to blur this out some more, just so it blends more tightly across the surface. So let's go back to this. Yeah, I think this should work. This should work. So we can just go in and then add a, let's delete this now, don't need this anymore. So let's delete this copy we have in there. Okay, then for the marks, let the marks, and then let's add a filter. For this filter, I'm going to use the blur filter because you need to kind of blur this out. Let's see on the keyboard. Let's see what we are blowing out. Make this quite soft because it looks quite soft on the surface in here. Hit them on the keyboard. So I've kind of softened this out. Maybe we went overboard, so let's take this down a little bit more. I think somewhere around here should be fine. And I can see some redness across the face, like on the nose. So it has a bit of redness in there. So we can also introduce that. Let's introduce that redness in. That should be like the icing on the cake for this. This is by no means perfect, but based on this semi-realistic look we're going for, so this should work. This will work just fine. This will work just fine. All right. So moving on. Let's see. She still has some measure of makeup around the face also, so that we're gonna add in a bit. Okay. So yeah. One thing I need to add is the darkness around the eye. I need to add some kind of darker shade around the eye. So I'm gonna duplicate this, add the black marks. I'm going to darken the shade a bit more, maybe even most likely pick the color from the eye. Okay, add the black marks. Let me name this to darkened. Okay, caps. Let's use darker high. Okay, so in here I think I can use symmetry in here now. Let's use symmetry in here for this to get this a bit more accurately. Let's reduce the brush size. Use the brush size. Get in there. It's C on the keyboard. Let's darken this. Or this needs to be a bit darker around here. It's M on the keyboard. Darken this some more around here. Zoom out some more. Yes, this should be fine. So obviously we also need to kind of think I should brush this off here. Okay, we need to kind of add a filter also in here. So blur filter in there. Let's spread this out a bit more. Okay, let's see. I think I went a little overboard in there, so let's turn off this blur and let's clean things up a bit more. So I'm going to hit X on the keyboard to kind of clean this up, clean up some more. Okay, now let's blur. Yeah, it should be fine. It should be fine in here. So she has a more darker. Okay, top part is a bit darker actually, so We can turn off the blur, use a smaller brush size actually, and add some more dark. Oh, undo that. Hit X on the keyboard. Let's add some more darker shade on this part. This needs to be a bit darker. Okay, the same here also undo that. Just on the lining of it, the lining of it needs to be a bit darker. Let's increase the opacity. The lining needs to be darker, so just like a darker lining around. This even working. Okay, it's working. Add the darker lining in here. Okay, darker lining. Well, I'm doing this with symmetry turned on, so that is fine. Let's zoom out. Let's see what we get. Okay, okay. I think this should be fine as a base. So I'm going to create another one also. Let's blur this out. No, no, that blur is way too much. Blur is way too much. Let's go in, take this down some more. Okay, I'm going to duplicate this. For this, I'm going to add the black marks, and I'm going to darken this even more. Let's drag this down. We can also use the S code in here if we want to. Let's darken this down some more. Go into the. This is going to be like our our out eyeliner. Yes, eyeliner. I guess I'm not into makeup, obviously, so it's going to be like our eyeliner. So I think I need to increase the flow a bit more. So this is going to be our eyeliner. So let's get this darker. Okay, let's do the same for the top. Increase the brush size a little bit more. Okay, get this darker. Or is it called mascara? I have absolutely no idea. I'm not into makeup, obviously. It shows, right? I'm not into makeup, but I believe I'm doing the right thing in here. So okay, should I give it a bit more smoky high to it? So I'm going to blur this out a bit, just a little bit more to make it feel soft. Dark. This is darker eyeliner. Okay, darker eyeliner. All right. Yeah, this should be more or less like it. Then I'm going to add a black, or rather a filter to it. Blur filter. Yeah, this should be more or less like this. More or less like this should be just fine. So I think I'd like to add some metallic property to it just to make it feel more like feel a little bit metal in there. Something like so should be fine. Just a little bit of metallic property to this. Okay. Let's see. This should work fine. The most interesting thing about this is actually eye. This is like the most interesting feature around this. But all of this kind of works together to make it look a bit more unique. Okay. So before we add this, okay, let's just add this in here. You can see this kind of silverish blush around here. So let's create that. So around the eye. So I'm gonna duplicate this, add the black marks. So for this, I'm gonna be using a different type of brush in here. This dot brush should be a better one. So I'm gonna double click on that. It's gonna almost more or less gonna add like a spray tan to it, like so. Is this spray tan also to what's it going to use for these speckles around this? Maybe we should even use that now actually, because it seems like the right brush and the right color tone to also use for these freckles, these dark freckles around that face. So let's turn off symmetry for now. Let's do this asymmetrically. So then I'm just going to spray. Let's get in a bit closer. Let's see. Let's take down our brush size. Take down the brush size. Oh, this is even this. These are the smallest. Let's see. Come back in here. Take down the brush size. Let's paint around there. Okay, that's fine. But we need to increase the spacing. Increase the spacing a bit more. So it paints more like this across. Let's see the sizing for this. You need a bigger brush size for this. So let's undo that. Let's increase our brush size a bit more. Okay. Increase the brush size a little bit more. All right. Okay. Reduce the brush size now. Do a bit. Increase the brush size. Do a bit more around here. Okay. Okay. Increase the brush size. Let's work on the other side. I think the spacing is way too much. Let's reduce the spacing. Let's see what we get. With a few more around the nose, around here. All right. Go to the other side. Increase the brush size some more. Reduce the brush size. All right. Yeah, this seems fine. Except we need to use a more brown now. Push it towards a more brown now skin tone. So let's get this towards a more darker brown tone, darker brown skin tone. Yeah, something around here should be fine. Okay. All right. Guessing I should do a few more around here. Oh, that's way too much. Maybe a smaller brush size instead. Let's get smaller ones in there. Okay, that's fine. So let's rename this to Freckles or Freckles. Keep pronouncing this wrongly, I guess. So Freckles, that should be fine. Then let's duplicate this layer. So this is gonna be a silver eye mascara. Yeah, come after me. I'm sure I'm getting this wrong. So, anyways, let's add the black marks to that. So this is supposed to be like more like a silverish tone. Let's put this towards the white. Towards the white. Get some more metallic property to it. Maybe that's way too metallic. But let's go and change our brush size to brush 1. Let's come in close. Let's blush. Whoa, that's a bit too extreme. Let's take down the flow, take down the stroke opacity. I think we need to do this with symmetry turned on. Let's do this with symmetry turned on. Reduce my brush size a bit more. So something like so. Okay. Then I'm going to, obvious, isn't it? Blur this out. Blur this out a bit more. Let's get in close. Let's see what we have. Okay, no. Add the black marks. I'm supposed to still use the same dot brush in there and kind of spray. Feels more like a spray in there. But I think my freckles are way too big, so let's go quite small. Yeah, perfect like so. Okay. I think that's way too broad. I think we moved way too broad for that. Okay. Undo that top part we added. Yeah, I think this should be fine. I think I can add a little bit of blur to this. Let's see what a little bit of blur does to that. Completely blurs it out. Take this down, and I'm going to take down the opacity down a bit more. It shouldn't be too obvious in there. Just enough. Just enough like so should be fine. Take down the stroke opacity even more. Take down the flow, and then just add a few more around these parts. That kind of fades out, sort of more or less like so. Okay, maybe take this down some more. Should just be roughly around there. Okay. Yeah, that should be fine. So now let's add some more red tone to this. Some more reddish tones. So I'm going to duplicate this light brown tone, duplicate that, add a black mask. Let's see if we can pick out that red tone. Let's see if we can capture that red tone in there. More or less like so. Push this towards the red a bit more. Okay. Then use the depth brush. Let's see where we can paint this in. Yeah, this redness like so. So I'm doing this with symmetry turned on. So more redness. No, turn this off. Let's turn off symmetry for this actually for the nose. And I'm going to add some more redness around the nose. This we're going to still blend down, but let's just add this in there. Put it our lights. Okay. Add a bit more around here also. So one thing we need to do now will be to blend this down, blur and blend this down, or maybe even start by taking this redness down a bit more like so. Then add a filter in there, add a blur. Okay. Then take this down just slightly there like so should be fine. Something light handed in there should be just fine. Okay. Okay, you can see, I can also see this silver rich lining in there is even on top of this. So let's take this down, take this flow down, turn on symmetry, and we're going to, oh, I think my brush size is way too big, so it's kind of on top of this around here. Undo that, to the smaller brush size, so you can get a bit more precision in there. It feels a lot sharper in there. All right, so this should be fine. Get in close. Let's see. I think this goes across. This goes across all the way here. Okay, that should be fine. Kind of blocking things in the way it should be. Bring this out. Take down the opacity. Increase our brush size a bit more. Reduce the opacity a bit more. Let's get this. Reduce my brush size. Let's get this faded around here. Okay. Yes, that should be fine. This should work just fine. All right. I think this should be in a good place already. So the next thing we need to do will be to kind of create for the lips. Let's save this first and let's create something for the lip. Okay, so let's finalize this by creating textures for the lip. I already have a more darker shade in here, more brighter toned out reference in here actually. So I think we can pick this from in here. Let's pick this color tone instead. So for the lip, let's go all the way. I'm going to duplicate this and I'm going to name this to lip. Okay, then I'm going to use, let's pick this tone in. Let's use the more darker spots instead. Okay, I'm going to add a black mask. Okay, then let's go in to the lip, increase the brush size. So with symmetry turned on, this needs to be, take down the metallic, need to make this a bit reflective. So increase the opacity, increase the flow, reduce the brush size. Oh, I think I'm making this rough instead. Let's get this to the opposite side like so. Okay, let's continue painting things on. reduce the brush size significantly, a bit more, so we can capture the edge of the lip a bit more. Try to capture the edge of the lip. Okay, I think this should be fine. All right, increase the brush size, and then let's fill that part up. Okay, I think it needs to be a bit cleaner, so let's go down, take down the brush size. Let's create something a bit tighter at the edge of the lip. Okay, all right. Okay, I think we might need a more smaller, more rounder brush size for that. Let's use the default brush instead. Let's use the default. So default hard, but I'm going to soften this. Let's soften this. Take down the hardness. Take this down. Let's reduce the brush size. Okay. Yeah, this creates some more. This create this with a more precision to it. Okay. Hit X on the keyboard. I think I need to clean this part out some more. Okay. Reduce the brush size. Hit X. Paint in. Okay. I think that is actually way too sharp. That's way too sharp. But I think we can blur that out later though. Let's see. We'll blur that out later. Let's just do some painting for the top part of the lips also. Okay. I think this should be fine. All right. Need a bit more. Capture a bit more around here. Okay. Let's add a filter to this. Let's add some blur filter. Let's just blur out the edge some more so you get some softer edge to this. Maybe that's way too soft. Take this down. I think something more or less of this nature should be fine. Okay. I see some kind of breakup in there also too. So let's go back to the silver freckles in here. We can break that up by using the depth brush, or rather dot brush. Select the dot brush. Yes. Maybe let me duplicate this instead actually. Let me duplicate this instead. Let's use silver lip. Silver lip. So I'm sure I'm not making kind of spoiling things in case things go south. I always have I always have things cleaned up. So just clean this up a bit more easily. So let's drag this up. Okay. Reduce the brush size. So I'm basically going to splatter this across this. No, I think we can actually use let's use increase this some more. I think we can use this instead. Let's add this like an anchor point to this. Add anchor points, anchor points, anchor points, add anchor points. And come in here, add a fill layer. Then I'm going to use this anchor points. Then I want to use this as extract alpha instead. No, 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 no. Keep alpha instead. And I'll go in. I'm going to add another new fill layer. Then I'm going to do a multiply. Then for this, I'm going to use spots in here. Let's use spots. Crystal randomness. Come on, show us some preview. Let's see what you have in there. Nah, let me delete all of this actually. Type in sports. Should show us something a bit more precise now. Okay, that's a good one. Let's see if we can find something. Yeah, this is a good one. I'm going to increase the tiling. Let's try planar mapping. Increase the tiling a bit more. Increase the contrast. Get a more sharper contrast to it. Okay. Something more of this nature should be fine. Let's add a bit more metallic property to it. Add a bit more metallic property to that. Let's go in balance. Let's take down the balance. We want this speckled across the surface but not too obvious in there. Okay, style this even more. Okay, let's take this down. Come on, wrong one. Okay, can take down the entire outing down a little bit more. Okay, maybe even go in and do some hand painting instead. Undo that. Add a add a paint layer. We can now manually add some more in the turn off symmetry. Let's do a little bit more around the front side. No, that's way too much. Reduce the brush size some more. Let's bring this out, take down the flow, take down the stroke opacity. Okay, do we have something there? We do. Increase the spacing. Spacing is way too much. Use the brush size. All right, I'm not sure I see anything happening in there though. Let's turn this to off so we can actually see what we're actually painting in. Hit X on the keyboard. Let's remove some of this. I think I went way too much. Bring everything back out. Okay, I feel like this lip is a bit should be a bit reddish. This lip gloss should be more reddish. Yeah, something around this nature, like so. Yes, maybe not as glossy as it is right now. Okay. Yeah, I think this should be it. Yeah, this is roughly in the way we want it to be. Let's go back to the redness, skin redness. Oh, did I even name this? Okay, let me rename this to red skin tone. Okay, in there now. Let's go to the depth brush. Go to the depth brush for this. Then I'm going to add some red. Come on, yes. Let's add some redness on top of the nose, around the X on the keyboard. Add some more redness around here. Okay, hit X. Clean that up a little bit more. Yes, this should be fine. Okay, maybe add some more redness. Let's take down the stroke opacity, take down the flow, add some more redness around here. Same for the same for the other side. Okay, this should be fine. All right, save this. So I'm going to continue on the next lesson. So I'll see you guys in the next lesson. Bye for now.